Live. Good morning, everyone. This is episode 115-ish. Yes, 115. We have a new guest, Bill, who Chill will introduce. He's just getting his computer set up. Yeah, we'll be starting shortly. We'll just do the usual audio checks and things, and then we'll be rolling. Let's hope this is a short one, but I always say that. Last week it actually was. So
yeah, it was pretty short last week.
Win. I still spent all day editing it, though. Thank you, Joel. Yeah.
You said that. I actually looked into the chat room. Is he here?
Oh, we may actually watch the video later, so at least I hope you will. All right. Greg S.
Benjamin CC.
Our good friend Gina, yes. Greg. No, that wouldn't be Greg Carter. That'd be a different Greg. All right, Bill. How's it all
He's still
looking?
muted.
Okay. He's got his headphones in. Good. All right.
He looks concerned.
Red.
You
Do
okay,
you
Bill?
have?
Yes.
Can't hear him. He's not
Can't hear
muted.
him.
No audio. You may have to disconnect the Hangout and reconnect it. You could have got confused. If you just re-accept the invite, you'll pop straight back in.
Yeah.
I
He says,
like it.
okay. Peace.
All right. I'll tweet once he's back in. We're about close to go. Red, you have Audacity running.
I do.
All right. Chill certainly has, from what he said
This
earlier.
is the strongest I'm drinking today, so I can make it through the show. It's an
Energy
drink.
All right. Very nice. Let's see.
Okay.
What's up? I heard something.
Just trying to make sure I've got everything rolling.
All right.
It seems
He heard
my...
me getting excited because I heard Chill unmute himself, and I thought it was Bill reconnecting.
Yeah. Let me see.
Yeah.
He has my email address, so he can email us when it goes wrong.
Yeah. The volume's a bit low, but the level is fine on my mic, so I'm not sure if it's the Hangout or whatever. But into Audacity, it's a little low. I'll try to speak loudly.
Okay. It's good to have a good solid volume, not too high, but if it's too low, I have to boost it up, and then I get all your background noise amplified as well, which doesn't work.
Yeah, I know. But my mic level's already 93, so I'm not sure what else I can do.
Yeah, that's fine.
Turning down my headphones.
I might try re-inviting Bill just in case it got confused. Bill.
Test.
He got in, so that much should be okay.
Test. Okay, that looks fine.
Test. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Galactic Starfighter Extreme.
That's almost a good radio voice.
If not for the fact that I'm totally congested.
Actually, it may improve things. Just a little. Butchwahala. I have re-invited
so
Bill.
Tron beat us all here.
Alright, we're just waiting for Bill to reconnect, and then we should be good to go. he's taking too long, we will just launch into our weeks and then bring him in afterwards.
Whatever you like.
He may be restarting his computer. Chill, I'm guessing you do not want to prolong this, given that you're feeling pretty tired at this point.
Well, I'd like to
So,
get
yeah,
Bill back.
Well, yeah, of course.
I'm not too worried. A few minutes won't be a problem.
Okay. We will wait. In the meantime...
Yeah, I did see SOTOR Reforged actually populated in my feed.
Oh, good.
On
Did you
Pocket
watch?
Cast.
Did you
I
watch it?
haven't.
Or listen?
No.
Okay. Ivan did an amazing job. It's just fucking it's just spectacular. And Bill is back. Can we hear you, Bill?
That didn't seem promising.
No, we can't hear you, but in the Hangout, click on the little gear. Make sure you've got the right audio device selected. We know we have heard you, so we know it can work. You are not muted. No, you're not muted. What else could it be? If you have the right audio device selected,
Yeah, make sure it's a specific audio device, not your default, because your
for the
default.
microphone.
There it is.
Good now.
Hey-o.
Good.
All right.
All right. So we should really get rolling. So Bill, could you just make sure Audacity is recording, and make sure it's picking up the right device. So talk and make sure you get waveform. Is all that means basically.
Recording looks good.
Roger. You got your headphone nice and sealed. The level just low enough that you can hear us, or high enough that you can hear us. Test. Pretty good.
Good.
All right, chill. I think we're ready to go.
All right, my Audacity's rolling, going in 5 seconds. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that must unlearn what it has learned. This is episode 115, being recorded on Wednesday, January 8th, 2014. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, guys.
And our guests today are Bill and Red. So, Bill, hey, so you're one of our operation people. You're my fellow tank. And so what you been up to?
Well, this week, not a whole lot this week. Mainly Galactic Starfighter, and haven't played a lot with the holidays, and GSF has maybe, like you guys, have been doing that mainly more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Worked on leveling Bounty Hunter. Got about 3 levels. They're about 39 now. That's about it.
All right, sounds good. Hey, Red, how about your week?
Well, let's scrolling up to the top. So I had a good time. I did actually do some ground PvP. So I did want to start out by saying, don't forget that if you have unconventional keybinds, the H button, whether or not you have it bound to another key, is now also bound to the hangar window for Galactic Starfighter. So, as a gunslinger, if I'm in the middle of PvP and I hunker down and my hangar pops open, it's not really a good thing. I feel like that's kind of a bug that you're able to have 2 things simultaneously bound to the same key.
It is a bug. That shouldn't happen.
But I went ahead and unbound it on that character because that's the only one I've gotten H on at this point, and I'm A-OK. Had a lot of fun doing PvP, and we won. That's right, the original The Ground game. Did not do ranked, but our core group was back from all their holiday shenanigans and everything. So We went old school. Found out that pretty much all the subscribers must be in Galactic Starfighter, because normal PvP was a joyful slaughter. We were just rolling through team after team, calling out targets, and like by the time each of us would get an ability off, they'd be dead. I mean, there was no gear on our opponents. There was nothing. It was just, knives through butter. It was wonderful. And so I did put in a picture here for you. I was quite pleased because I don't generally, for both Galactic Starfighter and for ground PvP, I don't generally spec myself for massive damage output. I really like to do survivability and utility.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was very pleased to have gotten 40 player kills within a single war zone this week. And I got that achievement.
Nice.
Wow.
I actually ended up getting 41 in a single Alderaan match. It's really cool. Naturally, I played some more Galactic Starfighter. I have slowed down because, like I mentioned last week, I'm stockpiling all of my weeklies and dailies that are shipwreck, so that when I get the bomber and the new gunship, I'll be able to get a big boost. I think we figured out I'm going to be getting about 45,000 on release date.
Okay.
But I'm happy to say I should be able to still get ship mastery on 3 of my ships. I've been working on those pools, and then just right now I'm focusing on one to shove it towards mastery. As soon as I'm done with all the pools, and I do all the pools, I'm going to focus on the next one. And so it's going to be 1 scout, 1, obviously the gunship, and then 1 strike fighter. Part of the reason I'm splitting it between all 3 types too is because there are achievements revolving around the fact that you've got to win so many times with each different type of ship having been played in the game. So if I'm rotating through all 3, I'm working towards those achievements. And I also have 15,000 fleet requisition already at this point, which, from what we were told this week, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but that should be enough, assuming they go with the same purchasing program to buy all the new ships coming. So I did also put a picture in for my Galactic Starfighter that I was really happy about. There's actually 2 pictures. This first picture, we were talking about how exciting it was that Chong had gotten 1,000 to 3 last week. And I had taken a picture earlier where I got that to happen like 2 days after we recorded. But then yesterday, this score came up, 1,000 to 1. That was
painful.
Really, really fun. There was one point where they actually took one of our nodes neutral, because I think we must have abandoned it entirely or something. But we got over there before they actually captured it, killed them off, and got control of it. So that was fun. And then the second picture here is the scoreboard. Like I said, just like with my gunslinger, with my ships, my buddy is really, really, really good about using his blasters and following that little circle and just damage outputting and killing people all over the place, which you can even see from this scoreboard. I got 10 assists and only 4 kills, but I was quite happy because I got an achievement for that 30,000 damage in a single Starfighter match. The other thing is, with most of my ships, I've actually been beefing out all of the secondary components or the engine and shielding components, and not the primary and secondary weaponry, which means I'm just not putting out that much damage. But now that I've actually gotten to the point where I'm starting to, that's all I've got left for ship mastery, my damage output is definitely noticeably increasing. So, at any rate, I didn't get to play as much as I wanted to. Chill definitely got me sick last week. He gave my computer the virus, I swear, and I caught it from my computer. So, but because I got bored, I just wanted to run down for anybody that's a geek. I've got 70,000 requisition left for my Flashfire, 83,000 left for my gunship, 92,000 left for my Nova Dive, 91,000 left for my Pike, and 76,000 left for my Starguard to get mastery for all of them, which is a total.
Do you have a spreadsheet or something to work this out?
Yep.
Right.
It's a total of 413,000, which is why I won't be getting all 5 by February 8th.
Probably not.
Excuse me. So Yeah, so those are my stats. The last thing I did want to mention is that we did discover in our group, since we've been kind of playing around, we haven't really found a site that we like Turntable, where we could all be DJs. There are some that are similar, but it seems like you have to take turns being a DJ rather than just being able to rotate automatically through. We did find a really cool game within Hangouts, which we've been using Hangouts rather than TeamSpeak or Mumble recently. And what's really fun is, in Hangouts, there's an app called Warlight, all one word, Warlight, and it's basically a Risk emulator, the board game Risk. But rather than having to do individual turns, everybody makes their decisions simultaneously on what they want to do, and then the computer randomly generates the turns for you. So we started doing that during queues, while we're queuing for Galactic Starfighter or queuing for ground PvP or whatever. And we'll just take a few turns, and then as soon as we get in the match, it doesn't matter. There's no timers or anything, so you don't have to do anything for the 15 to 20 minutes that you play, and then you can come back in and do this. And it makes the downtimes a little bit more enjoyable, so I figured I'd throw that out there.
All right. Thanks. Now, Tio, how was your week?
It was mainly, in fact, it was pretty much solely Galactic Starfighter. It's like whenever I log in, that's just what I do. Start with a daily and then just do match after match after match. So, just in terms of my stats, I've played a total of 216 matches overall, and my win rate is, well, I won 178 of them, which is still roughly 82%. So winning 4 out of 5. When flying with the Utini fleet, I should note, still no solo queuing. So I've been often flying with a couple of fantastic gunship pilots. That's Megadan and Junidai. They both had shout-outs for some individuals. Dan wanted to shout out to Chucha, who's another gunship pilot, gave him some great advice, and Junidai wanted to shout out to Navian, another good pilot. These are all on Pubside Harbinger. So yeah, some fantastic pilots, and we are beginning to learn the names of the bad guys, the imp pilots on the other side, to watch out for. And there is that list that one of us is maintaining, not me, of people that they're kill on sight kind of thing. Aside from that, no, there is no aside from that. That's it. I did master my Star Guard, so I did finally get mastery on that, 9 of 9, and I'm still focusing on him. Just going to earn more rec, and like Red, basically, when he suggested that you hoard all of your grant things, the requisition grants that you get from the daily and weekly, I've been doing that, so I've got a ton saved as well. So as soon as February 4th hits, I'll be spending all of them. I'll be buying the two bombers and the new gunship, and then spending them all, and then seeing what happens from there. That's my week. Over to you, Chuck.
I was just curious. Have you continued to have the win ratio that you had reported earlier?
Yep. No change.
Because I don't tend to roll solo very much on my own either, so, and it's definitely been a very high win ratio on the pub side for Bastion for sure.
Right. Yeah, the pubs overall just seem to win a lot of matches on the Harbinger.
And we learn the names of those that actually have talent on the Imperial side really quick, and just spend our time hunting them just to keep them neutralized.
Oh yes.
All right, and Red, you wanted to mention something from Max the Grey?
Yeah, I just wanted in the chat room, Max the Grey was the one that mentioned the music program that I have found that is the most similar to Turntable FM. Although it doesn't have multiple DJs, it is very similar in execution, is plug.dj. And it's actually really easy to set up and get going. I actually found it easier to get running than Turntable itself was originally. So I've been very much relying on Max the Grey for most of the success search, because he's where I got the original suggestion, and I know he's working with a group that is accustomed to it as well.
And that is Max from the SWOTOR Escape podcast.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Let's see. First, a shout out here to the chat room. Before I get to my week, we've got Ganglotron, who's, I believe, new to the chat room. So, hi. Ari, Our guest Bill here is here. Kuze, Max the Gray, Vanguard Corrego, Benjamin CC, and Greg S. are all here. So hi, everyone. And I was sick virtually all this week. So just like last week, I ended up spending 11 days in bed. So it was not at all fun. Ended up going to the doctor and basically being told it was an upper respiratory virus, sort of generic bug. So I finally seem to have gotten over it sometime yesterday, and today I'm feeling well, but rather exhausted. So somehow it takes it out of you, even though all I was doing was lying around in bed for well over a week. So I did get a short session in yesterday, just kind of dipped my toes back in, but nothing really to speak of. Hope to have more to talk about next week. That will bring us to the tip of the week. And let's see, we've got 3 of them. The first one is from Horselip. Horselip writes, "This is a very simple tip, but I see a lot of people not realizing how simple it is. When you die in an operation and respawn outside the entrance, 95% of people turn their character around and run back in. It's much simpler just to hit the backwards button and run in backwards. Once the operation loads, you'll be facing the right way." And I'm a strong believer in keeping it simple. Second, from Hash. A pretty basic tip, but something I've had to train myself to remember while playing Galactic Starfighter and Arenas. Use all your abilities. I usually don't live long in a Galactic Starfighter match, and I often realize after I've died that I've forgotten to use my abilities bound to the 1 to 4 keys. So instead of saving those for specific moments and never actually using them, instead use them often, and it will give you an advantage. Same in Arenas. All your cooldowns reset each round, so make sure you take advantage of every cooldown your class has each round. Cheers. And finally, Joe Ferran has a tip. If hoarding your PvP weapons for commendations, use your phone's alarm clock. For example, Siri, set an alarm in 90 minutes, or OK Google, set an alarm in 90 minutes. And that works for me. All right. By random allotment, the winner is Hash. So congratulations, Hash. You'll be getting a ToneFon code, courtesy of BioWare, and one of the latest cartel packs, courtesy of the OotiniCast. That will bring us to the holofeed. Tio?
So we had a few things happening before we launch into SWTOR specific news. It was last week, about midway last week, a DDoS, a distributed denial of service attack on Origins. It seemed to be mainly on their authentication servers, which meant for us playing SWTOR that a lot of players were unable to log in. You would just time out or just get errors or whatever. So this was from a hacker group called Derp, and I think their reasoning the reasons for doing this is a little bit obscure. Who cares? It's just a hacker group.
For the lulz, I think was the official statement.
Right. So yeah, let's hope it doesn't happen again. Now, just to explain, a distributed denial of service attack basically means this hacker group has a whole lot of just regular PCs that they've managed to infect with bots, and the bots all try and talk to the server at the same time. And if you have enough of people trying to do that, it will effectively block it from regular traffic. Hence why players can't log in. So it's just overwhelming it, and there is no solution at the moment to that kind of attack. You've just got to wear it, basically. Oh, and of course, track down the botnets and stop the computers getting infected in the first place, because without that, there's really not much individuals can do to take down a server.
Do they ever look at the incoming IPs and just kind of shut them off temporarily? Say no data from you guys for a while?
They can do things like that, but there's just so many, and these are just normal people as well who could be quite legitimate users for their PC. It's hard. There's no easy answer.
Right.
All right. So that's that.
But the important thing is that if you don't know what a DDoS is, it's not that there's been a hack at BioWare and there's no information getting sent out. All they're doing is plugging the pipelines with useless information so that our information can't get through.
Basically, yes. This is not a hack. It's just overwhelming their servers. Yeah. All right. Now we actually have finally some news about what's coming up in the future in SWTOR, though really it's There is some detail here. Okay, so he's talking about, this is Eric Musco, Community Manager, talking about Game Update 2.6, which, as we've known for a while, is due on the 4th of February. And it includes the Galactic Starfighter stuff, effectively the real launch of Galactic Starfighter, opening it up to everyone, including free-to-players. It also provides the gunship unlock for everyone. Now, at the moment, only those who subscribe before 20 November have access to the gunship, and anyone who's playing Galactic Starfighter will know that that's still a hell of a lot of people, because there's a hell of a lot of gunships, and they are kind of nasty. But yeah, as of February 4th and Game Update 2.6, everyone will be able to have the gunship. And we also get the bomber. There should be apparently 2 bomber variants. So there'll be a second gunship variant as well. From our time on the PTS, the 2 bombers that we had access to were... There was one that dropped both healing drones and DPS drones, which are basically things that just sit there and either heal, and by heal I mean they will do, if you get your other ships get close to them, they will do a heal over time to your Starfighter, fixing hull damage.
This is similar to the activate that you get from your crew member as a co-pilot, right?
Yes. I have this suspicion that it will also replenish your missiles and things. That's just a vague memory from the PTS. I can't confirm that though. The other type of drone, the DPS drone, is just something you drop and it does damage. When we saw it on the PTS, they were terribly overpowered and could take out starfighters just by themselves, making the bombers really nasty. I suspect we'll see, as we did on the PTS, that bombers will take on the role of node guard in the future. So I certainly plan on seeing how that fares, because they're actually quite tough as well. Unlike, for example, gunships, which are glass cannons, essentially. The bombers actually were quite robust. Right. And the drones are just cool. So we'll see how all that goes. Anyway, also in Game Update 2.6, we found out there will be more class changes coming.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, so let's just quickly run through the list. It's just a brief list. Now, Musco went on to say something which implies the patch notes will be available soon, TM, which implies to me that 2.6 will be on the PTS sooner or later. So I would expect it in the PTS, given that we're about 4 weeks out, 3.5 weeks out, sometime, well, at the end of the week would be probably a little optimistic, but certainly next week. So we'll be able to test out these changes. Anyway, the class changes that are coming. And this is we all thought of at the Pummeler on Twitter. When we heard about this, a fairly significant DPS boost for operatives and scoundrels. Now, Musco did go on to elaborate on what those changes are, which I won't go through in detail, but there is a post which I'll link to. And I've seen some commentary already, particularly from the Pummeler, saying these changes don't look like a significant increase, but we'll have to see. Once it's on the PTS, people can actually try it out against combat dummies and in war zones and just see whether it really is a significant boost. Anyway, that's that. The other changes, class changes that are coming. Mercenaries and Commandos will now have a skill to eliminate pushback on their tracer missile grab round and power shot charge bolts. And Sorc Sages likewise have a skill to eliminate pushback on lightning strike and force lightning / disturbance and telekinetic throw. So
lots of pushback help.
Yep.
Protection,
yeah. More for PvP than PvE.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, typically PvEers don't care as much.
Particularly psyched about the healing changes for Commandos.
Well, let's get there.
Which has some
Mercenaries and Commandos can now cast Kolto Shell and Trauma Probe on more than one target at a time. Now, the way this effect works is it's basically a stack that every time you get hit, it heals you a bit. So it's kind of like a combined bubble and dot, sort of, except it is reactive. So it is more like a Sorc's bubble.
And in operations, they tend to keep it up on tanks at all times, except before, of course, only on one. But now they'll be able to do it on more than one. I guess the only limit then will be how much energy you have in order to, cast it.
Exactly.
There'll be a
Eh,
lot of interesting number crunching, I'm sure, going into that.
Finally, Mercs and Commandos can now use Rapid Shots and Hammer Shot, that's their free cast, free heal, on themselves. While combat support, yada, are active, the healing ones. So I'm actually a little surprised it didn't work like that. It seems a little weird because the other classes can do their free stuff on themselves.
Right.
So,
it was always on another target, whether an enemy to do damage or a friendly to do healing. But it was really annoying in PvP because sometimes you wanted to use it for healing, but you're the only one who could easily, who will always be in range and not line of sight and all that good stuff.
Right.
And so it was really annoying to have that not be available for yourself. So that's actually going to be a nice, more quality of life than anything, I think, for mercenaries and commandos. But
the ramifications
nice.
of the fact that you can trigger your trauma probe that's on yourself whenever you use hammer shot, and you can now use that on yourself. That's actually pretty cool.
Yes. Bill, do you play these guys in PvP from a DPS point of view, the Mercs, Commandos, etc.?
I don't. I have one Merc. No, I have a Commando, but it's only like level 22.
At Ordo Scarata is thrilled about these changes. And it sounded like he's really happy both from the DPS and the healer side. He hasn't been playing healer, but he's actually considering even experimenting with the healer side of it because these changes make it really compelling for the PvP.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, all of it is, we'll see how it actually plays out, but the protections and whatnot, it's certainly going to make it helpful. It'll help towards balancing it. That, their Electronet is definitively excellent. It's just got a long cooldown. If they can have better survivability and more protection for their DPS output and healing, then they could become more viable. But we're going to have to see it to find out.
Okay. Now, we did not have an update this week, and I kind of expected a game update 2.5.2 this Tuesday, because, well, the only other things we know about are on 21 January. That is when Preferred will gain access to Galactic Starfighter, Preferred players, which is 2 weeks before Game Update 2.6. And there has been mention in the forums, just a single post indicating there will be a Game Update 2.5.2. So the question is, when are they going to drop it? Is it going to be 21 Jan, or is it going to be next week, and then another patch for when Preferred gain access? We don't know. There really hasn't been any other news on that front.
What's 2.5.2 again?
All I've seen is a reference to a bug fix, no actual content.
Okay.
So whether that is the one in which Preferred gain access, we don't know. They're really not saying. So, yeah. Yeah, in terms of what's beyond that, still no idea. No hints, nothing. I'll leave that one until we get there.
Well, so they did at least confirm what we had thought, which was that there's going to be 2 bombers, 1 gunship, or at least what I had proposed originally. And we do know there's going to be 5 added total for each side. So presumably that means there's going to be a cartel market option for the gunship and the bomber.
Of course.
To fill that out.
Yeah, I mean, that's just easy to infer.
Yeah.
But nothing beyond that is what I'm saying, just no...
And he did say... What was the more information that he said we were going to be getting this week?
It hasn't turned up yet.
It hasn't, okay. Because the only other thing is, it could be that they're just going to tell us that. Or what I'm really, really, really hoping, and this is maybe way too hopeful, but it would be really cool if come February 4th they also come out with a second game style.
A new map.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's
I was
possible.
even thinking, even if they changed one of our existing maps to a different game style,
No, that
they
won't
wouldn't
happen.
have to add the map, just change the game style. I would be
Unlikely.
okay with that.
What I'm guessing is that the extra information he's referring to will be 2.6 on the PTS, and we will get the patch notes, at which point we will discover pretty much, hopefully, everything that they're adding.
Right.
So that will
Okay.
be the extra information. That's a guess, but we'll see.
So hopefully sometime this week we actually get the full patch notes.
Hopefully. But as we've seen before, sometimes they will only release part of it, not all. All right, so that's Game Update 2.6 coming February 4, hopefully on the PTS sometime soon. All right, next, Tape Watson has joined the community team. There's a post in which he introduced himself. He's someone like us who's been playing since launch, old-time MMO player. Seems to be mainly into PvE, though he has done some Warzones, etc. He replaces Amber Green, who is, from what she's saying on Twitter, very much getting into her new role as a live producer on SWTOR. So anyway, welcome to Tate Watson, and we'll see how he goes. He's effectively taking over the patch notes and will be responsible for the bug report forum as Amber was.
Okay.
Now, also from the community team, Courtney Wood, who, among other things, is in charge of the SWTOR blog content, which includes the Companions 101 series, the stuff they did for Oricon, that kind of thing, and has said that she is intending to bring more lore and story to us in 2014. She says she's really passionate about the whole story thing, and so expect more of that, more or less putting it in a form where we can get it through the website, in addition to what's seen in game. Okay, and also, our next community cantina will be in Phoenix, Arizona on Friday, January 31st. Now I'm thinking that this will probably be where they announce whatever is coming next for the game beyond a Game Update 2.6, because it will be a few days before the launch of it. I know they don't want to dilute the buzz around 2.6, but it'll be close enough that it probably will be okay to start hinting at whatever is coming next.
That would be great.
Images or something, but we'll see.
Yeah, some photos or some really nondescript video footage
Or something. Some clue, anything would be nice. And she also mentioned that February's Cantina will be in Atlanta, Georgia. And they are going to be holding the cantinas. They're going to continue once per month, and they are going to try and include cities which do not have major conventions. So they could turn up anywhere in the US.
If we have any fans in Phoenix, Arizona or Atlanta, Georgia, we'd love to get some sort of live report from you from the community cantinas.
Looks like Dundai says he's going to be there.
All right, excellent.
In the chat room.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Dunedai?
Dunedai, yeah.
Oh, cool. Excellent. That is good news. All right, and lastly in the news, we have a story that isn't from SWTOR directly. Now, this was reported on The Verge and Hollywood Reporter. So, basically, Leland Chi, who is the curator of the Star Wars canon, as in the guy who currently now works for Disney under the Lucas Aegis, has said via a series of tweets, it's not much information, but it does seem fairly clear, that a big decision has been made in terms of the canon. The way it worked previously was the top level of canon, what is referred to as G canon, which was absolute, and this is from the movies. That canon always ruled, and the whole extended universe, there were like different levels below it, were kind of unofficial, but what they are saying, what Li Lanchi is saying, is that they are going to flatten that hierarchy, effectively meaning that all extended universe content becomes canon. There isn't like a hierarchy anymore, it's just going to be flat.
Right.
And that includes the stuff that went into video games, such as KOTOR and SWTOR and everything.
Very
So it also means that since that's now kind of canon, it can be used for the movies, the next 3 Star Wars movies, the first one coming in 2015. Whether that's true, how much they'll go into it, how much they retcon, who knows. But yeah, that's actually a kind of a good sign, especially meaning that the game content is actually official now, as far as this
that is
goes.
good.
Yeah.
Well, in particular, the fact that they're making a point to say that that films and TV don't necessarily have more value than, say, the books is. I know some people that really hope that some of the things that the television Clone Wars really conflicted with some of the books with, perhaps I'll rectify that in some way or another. Would be pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, they just have to rule one of them invalid rather than, yeah, or retcon it somehow.
Right.
Anyway, that's the news.
All right. Let's see. Now, too, there's an article about the holocron here.
Just skip.
Okay. All right. That'll bring us to the community corner. And first of all, of course, the return of SWTOR Reforged. Now, let's see. I actually listened to it the other day. It turned out pretty well. I wasn't too unhappy with my part in it.
Me either. So this was organised by Ivarwin of the Quest Gaming Network and a co-host of the SWTOR Reforged podcast back when they were live, along with Lou and Fred.
Mm-hmm.
They're all back, and they brought in Chill and me and Rode from ToroCast to star in a performance which Ivarwin scripted. He got us to record, we just did it in one long take, and then Ivarwin worked his magic, edited it all together, and added all these sound effects, and the final result is,
Pretty good.
I guess you could say, entertaining.
Yes.
We will not be receiving any kind of acting awards out of it, but
No.
yeah, it's a laugh. It's fairly short too, so but yeah, kudos to Ivarwin for doing an amazing job with that. It turned out really well.
Yeah, and they will actually have regular episodes coming, I think, next Monday, something like that.
January 13 was supposed to be the recording of their return episode, yes.
All right, excellent. And Teal, you have something from Laurie M.
Laurie M. Now, I'll just read the tweet that he sent us. Mog Nation is running a charity drive for Games for Soldiers, which is a charity created by, well, Catherine Tabor at Cataber on Twitter. Now, you will probably know her because in SWTOR, she played the voice of Vet.
Mm-hmm.
And also a princess.
And, yeah, several others actually. Yeah, she played a number of characters in SWTOR.
Princess
And then she's Amidala in the Clone Wars.
She played Padme, yep.
And most disturbing, also Leia in The Force Unleashed. So she's both the mother and the daughter.
Yep. So mainly she's probably best known for a role in the Clone Wars as Amidala. Though she also played, if you played KOTOR, she played Mission, who I vaguely remember from my playthrough. But
right.
Yeah, so yes, she's, as well as a whole lot of other credits, of course. But yeah, her voice is quite well known for those of us into Star Wars. And the actual charity is Games for Soldiers. What they do is they provide new and used video games, consoles, comic books, and related items to soldiers currently deployed overseas. And in terms of our soldiers, that's US soldiers, of course. During the rare downtime for your nation's protectors, video games can provide them safe, relaxing entertainment and take their minds off the stresses they face on a daily basis. So it's a charity looking after your armed forces, or at least trying to make their lives a little bit easier when they're in other countries. So in terms of what you can do, there's an address we will link to where you can actually send games or comic books or whatever. And if you want to make a cash donation, that can help actually posting it out there to wherever the troops are deployed. So it's a great cause. Just thought we would publicise it on their behalf.
Absolutely.
Beautiful job.
All right. That will bring us to the Force Feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. And starting with the Malgadar, OotiniCast Quote of the Week 114. And she's hot because she's like a naked booby robot. Chong's sharing his thoughts on Scorpio's shapely design. I couldn't have said it any better myself, sir. Although I have to admit, I still feel awkward when doing companion conversations with her.
I talked to Chong about this. He wasn't sure. Well, he couldn't remember saying it, I think he said. So.
No surprise. Yes, but Scorpio is definitely a fembot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, the Malgadar also tweeted to us, any idea if the new Armored Varactyl is unlockable in collections? I may be interested if it is.
It certainly is in collections, which is how Dolphy uncovered it in the first place. She has got it documented on the site. But as far as I can tell, there's no way to tell whether you can unlock it on other characters. So it is in collections, but we don't know. I don't think you can tell until you purchase it whether it's shareable to others.
Okay.
So, don't know.
All right. So if someone has done that, or then let us know. Or if you just have it and it gives you the option, let us know. That'd be great. Ferris Terran, at Ferris Terran, the Awkward Moment Award for OotiniCast episode 114 goes to Retna with "I've been playing my real world handle."
Yay! I'm awkward.
All right. We can just move on. We'll leave that right there.
Les at Fohammer75, watching OotiniCast on YouTube. Chong, or Empire Dividers, casual profanities, and Tio's reaction made me almost spit my coffee. Classic.
So the live version is available on YouTube. That is unedited and uncut. The actual MP3 version, if you download, is actually safe for work. So if you want to see just how bad it actually was, you would have to see the YouTube version.
Do we need to put an explicit rating on our YouTube channel?
Maybe on per video basis. Yes. Yes.
All right,
per guest basis.
Message from Thross. Great show as always. I'm wondering if we can still get snow-covered parcels now that the Life Day event is over. I'm at 75-100. I'd like to get the special snowflake title, even though I may never use the title. It looks like we can still throw snowballs, but I haven't gotten a parcel for quite some time since the Life Day event ended.
If you look at the tooltip, and Cal from our guild pointed this out, it specifically says you can only get the parcels while the event is active. So yes, you can throw to your heart's content. You are not going to get any more parcels until, I guess, next year.
I did test this. I threw it 100 times. It never gave me a parcel. I gave up.
Yep.
I already had the achievements done, but I just wanted to see.
It's definitely not stopping people. You get it constantly.
Wonderful. Oh well.
All right. Email from Kuze. I'd like to start off by thanking Mariah for the MSC6 feedback. I don't have any problems with seeing debuffs, as I have my UI set up with the debuffs scaled up and the buffs scaled all the way down on raid frames only. The problem comes with the commando heals, as the trauma probe is a buff, not a debuff. I feel it's a waste of time for me to search through the multiple rows of buffs that people can have at any given time, so I would just reapply at random. MSC6 frees my mind up for that one ability and allows me to better manage my time and resources. If I only used MSC6 for this one ability, I still would be extremely happy. I'm kind of curious how the fact that it can go on more than one person is going to affect MSC6.
Yes, that's a very good point.
Could be tricky depending on how it's set up.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kuze continues. The other point is that the program seems so lightweight and non-intrusive that I don't mind it running in conjunction with Mumble and Parsec in the background. I know some people prefer to only use what the game provides, but it's all personal preference anyway. Hey, some people might just use a pick and shovel to dig a tunnel, but I'd rather add dynamite to my tool list. As for the mouse over raid frames idea, I too would love to have clickable raid frames for casting abilities. That would make my healing life so much better. Maybe some sort of indicator for incoming heals would be nice too. And last comment on Operation Bosses and the game sound indicators. As you guys might remember, some people on the last phase of the Tron boss were listening to the sound cues for the colors, and others were reading the text. We soon found out after a few fallen comrades that the sound cues and the text did not line up, and actually confused some of us. Cough, Kuze. So make sure whatever you're relying on for coordination is truly accurate.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I remember I pulled out the chat frame just so I could make sure I could read those messages really clearly. Because the sound keys were just confusing us. They were inaccurate.
All right. Kuzan Legacy at Enyonix. I was playing my operative healer on Voidstar when I found myself alone with a Sork from the opposing team, a good way away from everyone. We engaged, and after what seemed like forever, gave up fighting because we just couldn't kill each other. Only in SWTOR.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Although I think in a lot of MMOs, healer classes have troubles dueling each other, at least to the death.
Yeah.
Let's see. Madmar at SWTOR Family. I see people posting for new content for the new year, what would you like to see? And Juiced Hodemakers at Juiced Hodemak wrote back, something for the PvPers? Get rank going for real? Rewards, tournaments, green invasion?
Yeah. Sort of
That'd be
what we've
nice.
been talking about previously.
Yeah.
Yep. Would be nice.
And Chong at Empire Divider tweeted, wow, look at that. I was praised on my tanking skill in a war zone. It's like I saw a unicorn. And he does, in fact, have someone whispering him. That was very nice. 240,000 protection. I was going to screenshot it because I outdid my DPS just with protection.
Wow. Very nice, John. Very nice.
Yeah, that's good focus.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Let's see.
nearly 10 lives, bodies in protection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes healing so much easier for the healers. Charles Hatfield at the Hatfield tweeted to us, I got my operative up to 50, leveling almost exclusively concealment, aside from a little extra cunning in the healing tree. Yeah, and that should get a little more pop here when the next 2.6 comes through?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. Turg can do incredible things with his DPS operative, but that's in PvE. So I think it's already pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. And Shang sent in an advert for slideshow collectibles.
Yeah, there's a few there. The theme is these guys are cooler than a polar vortex, and so it's mainly Hoth-based things like Han and Luke in their Hoth gear and a Tauntaun Snowtrooper Imperial Probe Droid. He just wanted to point out that these were now available and that they're on his wish list for his birthday. So
Polar
right.
vortex is not.
Yeah.
Go away, polar vortex.
it's a bit cold for you guys, isn't it?
It's
Wow,
been
West
better
Africa.
today. It was a balmy 29 today.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
It's like
Almost
shorts
back
and
to
t-shirt
raisin.
weather.
Meanwhile, we're having a heat wave. Or we were.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, on the West Coast, we were kind of, for whatever reason, it dipped east of us, so we didn't really catch, any bad freezing weather.
That's nice.
Yeah, we had a nice freeze earlier this year, but not this time around. All right, Butch Wahala. Speaking of close matches in Galactic Starfighter, the last one I solo queued ended at 1,000 to 998. We were actually ahead until almost the end, and then whoops, we lost.
Oh, that would be so painful.
Wow, that's tight. 1,000 to
Wow,
998.
that's the tightest I've heard of.
Yeah.
I've been in some close ones, but not that tight.
Yeah, not like that. I think that's more rare than the 1,000 to 3.
Raz at Master Bear Jedi wrote, Woot, I had my first multiple kill match in Galactic Starfighter. Great kid, don't get cocky.
Congratulations, mate. But he got into it late because he was kind of occupied over the holidays, as you were saying. But yeah, practice. Just keep practicing. It's the only way to get better.
Yep.
I'm just going to reiterate. It really helps if you do buff up your weapons. Don't necessarily be like me. Buff up one of the weapons that you use the most, because it will really help you actually get some of those kills.
By which he means spending the requisition on upgrading your primary and secondary components with your weapons.
Yeah.
All right, Turg at the Turg. I haven't played in a week. Does that mean I'm on or off the wagon? I guess it depends if Galactic Starfighter dailies are a chore or an addiction.
Now I responded, it's surely not a chore. It's just something to do that one enjoys, or not, if one doesn't.
And Turg responded, so the glass, is it half full or half empty?
And I said, there is no glass, unless it is the glass you seek.
Thanks, Yoda.
Is roughly what Turk summarized our conversation as. Smart ass.
All right, and Lori M, who sent us the information about the
Games for Soldiers.
Games for Soldiers earlier, yeah, wrote, you guys are pulling data from the leaderboards. Would you be able to tell if they've run into a hitch updating?
Now, I did go and check, because as we know, I'm archiving this data once a day, and Laura's correct, as of last Saturday. And I checked this morning, and it's completely dead. The leaderboards are not being updating. There is zero activity. It is unchanging. It happened sometime last Saturday, and it's still dead. Our guess is, it has been reported on the forums, our guess is that the guy who's responsible for this, who knows how to diagnose the fault, is probably still on holiday, and we're kind of guessing it will be fixed on Monday. So,
Do you think it might have hiccuped having something to do with the DDoS attack?
it was before the DDoS attack.
Oh, it was before it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Joe Ferran at Joseph_Ferran. Here's another random idea: an overlay app to an RSS feed of a community-created events forum thread with BioWare approval.
For the game. So you could actually view it in-game, and that would be a way to feed in community events. You could even do it by server, like have the server forums sort of feeding, basically a way of seeing sanctioned posts within the game. It's a little fiddly, but not that fiddly. It could be done.
Yeah, right. Or if
My
without
only
BioWare
concern is that
approval, I mean, there's things that you can do in the game right now with apps and so forth that will overlay the game. So there's no reason that someone couldn't just make up
That's true. Yes.
a calendar.
See, I like this well enough. My only concern is that, was BioWare not allowing, they're really against the idea of third-party mods and stuff like that. Like, getting their approval doesn't seem likely.
Well, they would
idea,
have to do it. Well, there's what Chill said, which means someone else could do it, and you would just overlay it, and it's completely independent.
Right.
Or it is integrated into the game, which is really what you need if you want everyone to see something. It's the only way it can be done practically, because most people won't bother with overlay apps.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Ian C. wrote, in-game tools would be great. One great tool praised by many would be a PvP system to bring along both incentives and an alignment system, similar to Light/Dark, that would send you to places in the world to complete outlaw or protector type tasks. This would put players in control of choosing their enemy rather than being forced into the bland politics of the Sith and the Republic. I guess.
If I'm getting it, I kind of like it. This definitely leans more towards the RP sandboxy aspect of it, but it would definitely be a fun spin on it. That would definitely be more work on BioWare's side, but I could see it being engaging.
If we're just brainstorming, why not? Yeah.
Okay, and Kuze also wrote, I'd like to expand on Red's idea from last show. I think the best implementation for the community events would be an in-game calendar. The in-game calendar is not necessarily an original idea, but I think it's one SWTOR needs now more than ever, especially with all the reoccurring events. Also, it could allow guild officers to coordinate guild events. As Red suggested, the community could choose via forums or whatever the planet of choice for the monthly open world PvP event. The event could then be placed on the calendar with the date and times for all to see. As for incentive, I was thinking that the event would have a King of the Hill type feel between the two factions, and at the end of the predetermined time, whichever faction had control would receive an XP boost or something on that planet until the next event. A few wishes I see. What instance or shard would you use on the planet? I would assume one, and then people would just join operations. The area would have to be in a non-NPC or questing area if people were to be bolstered for max participation. And then the wait for BioWare to develop the event areas and calendar. I vote for the calendar first.
Yeah, this I had not thought about, but that's if we actually had an in-game guild calendar, but it was populated by community-wide stuff by BioWare, and then the guild can just insert their own stuff as a layover skin as a guild calendar. That would be really cool, because then everybody would have something and say, "Oh, sweet, okay, this is our ops time. This is the normal stuff I see, but hey, check this out. This is happening on this day for our server, or globally, whatever." I hadn't thought about the calendar side, and of course, a lot of people have been wanting in-game calendars. That would be very useful.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of bolster, though, that seems... I guess what you could do if you did dedicate a particular instance or shard to the event bolster would just apply to anyone who's in that shard, or something along those lines.
See, that's something you could. Well, I don't know what the technical difficulties are behind it, but what you could do is actually have a shard. If you had the calendar up, then you had to sign up to be a part, within BioWare's infrastructure. And then in order to be able to get into that shard, you don't have to be an ops group or anything. If you're signed up, then when you go there, it'll ask you, do you want to transfer to the event you signed up for? Boom, you're in. If not, you're never put onto that shard.
And also, while you're in that shard, you can't complete missions and things. So
Right.
people wouldn't get in there just to do missions. Yeah.
Right, it's exactly the same world environment. It's just devoid of regular PvE interactions.
And for those of us on PvE servers, you'd be auto-flagged as soon as you switched. Yeah.
And that would facilitate having some sort of capital world event thing or whatever too, because none of the level or low B people would be in,
Yes.
worried about, not being able to level and stuff.
It would be basically a parallel environment, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Nathaniel Starr wrote, the reason PvP and especially ranked is so slow on most servers is because the balance is very bad. So many operative healers.
Well,
Balance is tricky.
yeah.
I don't know why that's why ranked is slow on most servers. I think that has more to do with basically not having reasons to
Correct.
go into it. Essentially,
It does turn out that only so many people care about the length of their routine. So,
right.
And without the rewards, there really is no reason to actually do it.
Yep.
But we can only say that so many
healers
times.
are
Yep.
the supreme healers, so
Yeah.
that is an issue. Let's see. Kuzin Legacy at Anyonix wrote, great cast. I love Redna's open world PvP ideas. I think BioWare should add a weekly to the PvP terminal to kill 10 of each opposing class on a particular area on a planet. And then the following week, that change the planet and the zone. It would be a new open world rep reward.
Oh boy.
They do it for open world bosses.
Yeah.
You're on a PvE server, it's fine.
I love my PvP server.
Yeah, I'll bet you do. Yep. I assume
And
you'd
I'm
be
sure
all
that I've
over
got
this,
a
Red.
lot of people on my server that are pissed off that I'm coming up with ideas to get them ganked when they're playing their low-level tunes.
Mm-hmm.
I've been leveling a smuggler on Prophecy of the Five, and I have not been killed in the open world once, and I'm at level 35.
You just
what I've
not
been
coming
saying,
across the other faction, or what?
There's been absolutely no one even try. Not even a single encounter. Nothing. They just ignore you. It's
Yeah, I mean, I've got 855s on the Bastion. It's never been a problem. I mean, I've been ganked once or twice, but usually it's just, oh, hey, there's that guy. Stop. I killed him. Mount back up. Go on about what I was doing. They don't stay around. So all you got to do is medical revive and continue on your way.
But it's also well recognized that the mission design on pretty much all the leveling planets is such that you never run into the other faction.
Yeah,
So,
the quests do not interweave.
hence why they're in the new areas, the daily areas, they are trying to bring everyone together to encourage some organic open world PvP.
Oricon being the best implementation of that so far.
Yes.
It's been very well done.
So we hear.
All right, that'll bring us to the Sarlacc Digest, where we go over the issues for 1,000 years. And now, Bill, you have been brought in because you have a certain specialty that we want to go over.
oh boy, it could be 1,000 years. I found that this week because I've been sitting around trying to think about what to talk about and how to put this in any kind of sense or order that makes sense. And I'll tell you, I got tons and tons and tons of stuff. So you guys have to keep me in line and guide me along and
Sure.
take me where. So I'll go where I start, and you guys jump in. Please interrupt me, or I don't want to sound like I'm giving a speech. So.
All right.
All right. So we're going to talk about making money, right? Or credits. I'd like to make money off my credits if possible, but that's frowned upon, I suppose. So we'll just talk about making credits. There are lots of different ways that as I started going through, I got a solid list of 9 or 10 ways that really you could sit down and just print credits over and over and over and over and over. Most of them I don't do. I do a couple very specific things that I found work really well for making high profit. So I thought we'd start by JD had a episode a couple weeks ago on the unnamed SOTOR podcast about crafting and the problems with it, which I don't know there are many problems. There are a few, and that's part of how you can make money at the process is actually by using the problems of the system against itself, putting yourself in a position to know what those problems are and to take advantage of it.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit about that.
And how much money do you have right now in game?
Well, on the Harbinger, I have 14 characters on the Harbinger, and across them all, probably about 125 million-ish in actual credits. I also have my legacy or my banks completely filled. So not all 14, but I would tell you more than half of them are completely filled. I have a problem with buying things, which somewhere along the line we talk about one of the best ways to make $1 million is to not spend money. I have a problem with spending. I sat down to count, and I have over 75 mounts, and I have over 80 pets, and I have no idea why I have this stuff. I don't need it. I don't use it. But I have it. Something to spend my money on. I gave, so on Christmas Day, I was bored. And I did it for Christmas Day and the day after Christmas. I went to the starter planets and just gave away 25,000 a pop, just to everybody who wanted to come up and take it. I ended up giving away about $5 or $6 million over the 2 days, or credits.
Wow.
So that's tip number 1, I guess. Don't throw your money away if you want to have it. Don't waste it on useless things or just give it away for nothing. So that's smart. One of the things that I think to understand in order to really start making money quickly is a real-world theory of the efficient market. And the efficient market theory basically is out there in the real world saying that goods trade back and forth, whether it's on securities exchanges or just in a Walmart. People pay for it what it's worth, and it's really hard to find something out there that's undervalued. Or if it's overvalued, it just goes and sits there until somebody lowers the price and it goes. But the GTN and the market within SWTOR is actually extremely inefficient. And it's those inefficiencies that we want to kind of exploit, because when the crafting professions, well, we already talked about a little bit, there's so much class imbalance that people talk about. I don't really believe it's that imbalance. There's a few rough edges between the classes, but they're not huge. But through the crafting professions and the gathering professions and the missions, they are vastly unbalanced. And that's one important thing to know of what is strong and what is not, which took me a long time to learn.
Okay.
This would be my first MMO. When I started, my first character was a Jedi Knight. I took archaeology, took treasure hunting, and took artifice. And somebody stopped me when I was leveling, and I was probably in the 40s at that point, and asked me, have you maxed out your crew skills? And I was like, I don't even really know what they are. And so I started playing around with them, and then eventually found that those really didn't work for me. And I had a hard time making money with them. So it was like, it didn't work. So I actually have finally gotten to the point where I created characters that I didn't even play, that were just literally crafting alts, so that I had one of everything. And I think that's one of the great things to strive for is if you can open up the characters, you can get as many as you want within reason. If you have 1 million credits, you can unlock all day long and have. I bought 6 more server unlocks today, actually, for character unlocks. Only 100,000 apiece, so they weren't too bad.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
So what are these inefficiencies that you are in the crafting, or these points of interest in the crafting professions that you have identified?
So I think profitability-wise, if you look at gathering skills, slicing by far is the most profitable. Bioanalysis probably is second behind that for reasons we'll talk about, and then scavenging, and then archaeology is actually last. You can make a profit just doing nothing but gathering and selling mats and doing nothing else. You can make money on all 4 of those. Slicing by far, you'll make more than the other 3.
Right.
This is out in the open world, actually accessing nodes, or just through missions?
Both. You want to. I mainly run missions, and that is mainly because, honestly, being out in the open world and gathering resources and going from node to node takes time, and it can be boring, and it's literally farming, and it just doesn't suit me. And that's one of the things that I believe in, is being efficient and using as little time as possible when you're logged in, and have the game work as much for you when you're logged off as you can. So getting as many alts as you can, and you of course are benefited by leveling them as far as you can. I recommend trying to get them all to at least 41, because once you're at level 41, you could run 4 missions at a time. And that's kind of maximizing, because when you're running gathering missions, you usually have 2 rich missions, 2 bountiful missions. And those are where your best. Yeah. Those are your best bang for the buck, are running the rich and the bountiful. I don't run abundant ever. I only run rich and bountiful.
Okay. Now it's worth noting that on a given character, if those aren't available, you can actually phase or log out and in again, and that will reset the missions that are available. Do you use that build to make sure that you...
Absolutely. So I recommend, if you're doing nothing but having a crafting alt, to definitely have them on your ship. It's the fastest load time, I have to refresh loading dozens and dozens of times a day when you go through all my alts. It really helps. I found a trick that it does help, that if you're in your hangar of the fleet, it's actually pretty quick to just load off into the hangar and back onto the ship. It's a fairly quick load time, just about as quick as logging out and logging back into your ship again. So most of my characters do that. They just go from the hangar to the ship, hangar to the ship.
Until they get the missions that you want to get them out on. Very nice.
Right.
And go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, with slicing, do you prefer the lockboxes, or do you prefer the parts for the kits?
I do both. Absolutely. And we're talking really at the max level for that. Leveling, you want lockboxes over parts. There's debate out there on that, but really lockboxes, I think, is your best bang for your buck as you level. But once you hit 450, it's absolutely imperative to do both. I believe and it all comes down to, when you do the lockbox missions, if you do nothing but get the credits back, you will turn a loss.
Right.
You will always lose money. The only gain you make is on the mission discoveries.
Yep.
So when you crit, which you want to max out your affection, so it's a yellow, so you start with base of 15%, you max out your affection, you get a bonus 5%.
Yep. You
want to unlock HK Intrigue if you can, because you get a bonus 1% off of both of them.
Yep.
And then your companion bonuses as well. T7 has a nice plus 2% crit bonus for slicing.
Right.
So
There isn't a slicing thing for C2N2, is there?
there is not.
Not for
Not
crit.
at all.
Yeah.
So if you max all that out, you can start your max crit's about 22%. When you crit off the lockboxes, you get a purple mission discovery at max level. Now, a lot of people do find that, as I find as well, the investigation purples come up the most, and they are absolutely worth the least.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's Arms Tech. Arms Tech does
And
nothing for anyone.
Arms Tech is by far the weakest as far as crafting skills goes. I mean, it is really hamstrung.
Yep.
But if you have an Arms Tech and you have someone who can run investigation, which if you have everything, you do.
Mm-hmm.
The investigation mission only costs about 4,000 to run. You generally get 4 or 5 purple mats from it, which is enough to do a barrel. One barrel sells.
Gifts are a big deal.
Yep, companion gifts are huge. But if you make that one barrel and they sell for 20K, you've turned a profit on the entire slicing mission. It's you run a lockbox mission to get a purple mat to your or a purple mission to your investigation to hand it off to your arms tech to sell the barrel.
Right.
Makes sense.
If you just have the slicer, you'll end up probably losing money. But if you have all of it, you're going to make a lot of profit actually.
Sure. Okay.
So that's one of the huge income streams is the thermal regulators then, which are the slicing mats you get, are used for augments.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got armor tech, synth weaving, artifice that can make augments, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting about the thermal regulators, the market price is basically priced at, it is equal to sell the thermal regulators at the market. You'll actually make just as much money as if you were to craft augments and sell the augments.
Right.
The caveat being you only make money, which a lot of this is throughout the game, is if you crit on an augment creation and you get 2 for the price of 1.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's based on
But
a
you're also
non-crit-
using
a non-crit
materials
price.
beyond those augmentation components.
Yep.
They're effectively
To make the
worth
kit
it,
too.
so
They're pretty cheap though.
they're trivial in the
Mhm.
scheme of things.
And really not all augments are made the same. That's probably not really a secret out there where might augments are worth a lot more than resolve augments because there's a lot more knights than there are sages or marauders than torques.
Right.
So they're not all made the same, and when you get into even like the tanking ones, the absorb augments, you can't sell them for a profit ever. Yet people make them and try. It is a losing game to try.
Bill, there's a bumping coming on your track, so so just
Tapping the table or something.
Yeah, I think you might be emphasizing.
Earthquake. Maybe.
that'll be okay. Should be right.
So when you're leveling too, when you start out, because that's what I think a lot of when we start out, we're talking about somebody who's already set up, running, has alts. There's an easy way to make money with slicing, with passing things off, with using your mission discoveries. And if you're trying to just sell them on the market, it's not as effective as if you're using them yourself. But if you think about somebody who maybe is not as advanced, there's good ways to make money doing that too.
Okay.
I would still recommend in your first character really just doing scavenging, and that's just the gathering skills. When I say scavenging, bioanalysis, scavenging, slicing.
Sure.
Makes sense.
You have no money pit then. You're not buying schematics. You're not wasting money on stuff that you don't need. You're not trying to level skills. But everywhere you go, you have free mats out to pick up, which I do to this day. Doesn't matter what character I'm on, what level I'm at. If there's a node and there's no one by it and I don't have to kill anyone to take it, it's free money.
Right.
If 3 people just went through and killed the 75 droids in front of me, and they're all scavengeable, I sit and I pick up every single one of them. You can just turn around and sell the mats on the GTN, or you can use them if you have a holds to hand it off to, either way.
Right.
But it's the best way to get a leg up quickly is just worry about gathering, get that done, then as you get alts to kind of branch out and start making things. That being said, as you're leveling alts, it's always cheaper to make things for yourself than it is to buy it. No matter what it is, it's cheaper to buy raw materials, mats on the GTN, and craft mods, armor, enhancements, build barrels, hilts. It's always cheaper to buy the mats and make them yourself than it is to buy it. So as I level alts, I try to make as much as I can.
Sure.
For them. Okay.
For them.
Mhm.
It keeps your war chest from shrinking. As you get into the game, I'd recommend your main be a biochem. That helps you save money by having the reusables.
Yep.
Unless we are literally on bleeding edge content, I'm always using my reusable stems, my reusable med packs. If we're really having trouble, I kick in and I have the stash, and I use the blues if I have to.
Right.
But it saves a lot of money over time just being able to do that.
Right.
Another good tip, this is my favorite tip of the day, is don't die. When you've wiped 15 times in a row, your armor bill is quite high.
Yeah.
It can really get expensive. So the less you die, or you could just have your guildmaster turn on guild repairs. That helps as well. Doesn't really help
remind me. Oh, well, yeah. But the rest of us, yeah. Just remind me, Bill. I'll switch it on.
Yeah, I'll fund everybody's stats then. So armor. The other thing that I do a lot of that we've even joked about is I like to change my look a lot, and that's expensive, especially at end game. I did figure out it's between pulling everything out and then putting a new MK9 augment kit on the gear and putting it all on. It is about $120,000 a piece to change, and I regularly change 6 or 7 pieces of my armor. So, once a month, that's $1 million right there.
Your experiments are endlessly entertaining for the rest of us, I gotta say.
I try. So another thing that's really important, just like it's one of those real world things that I live by in the world, is know what you're buying is worth. It's really, really important when you're out there. I vendor almost nothing. If I get a green, a blue, a purple from any mission drop at any level, I sell it on the GTN. You have to be patient.
Time?
Yes, absolutely, no doubt about it, 100%. I'll make, on any given green drop, I'll make double what I'd vendor it for. On a blue, I'll make triple. On a purple, I'll make 5 or 6 times what I'd vendor it for. You have to be patient. You may have to list it for a week for it to sell. You may have to list it once a day for a week before it goes.
And that is cost neutral, right? In SWTOR, there is no, you get a full refund of the deposit.
As long as you let it expire and you don't cancel it, you get the full refund.
Gotcha.
Right.
Which I have had to cancel a few times when I absolutely put the wrong price on things. You have to be attentive to detail. I've sold a lot of stuff at a really big discount. You miss a 0 on the end and you sell 40 of something for $68,000 instead of $680,000.
Ouch.
I've done that a couple times.
Oh yeah,
snap that stuff up.
It's great to watch just tracking speeders. Occasionally you find that one that's selling for $300,000 instead of $3 million.
Well, I actually do this too. So I've done it. I've been the victim of it, but I actively do this. I can give you a guarantee right now that whatever server you're on, there's at least 10 purple items on the GTN right now that are mispriced.
Tapping. You're tapping, Bill. Sorry.
How am I Okay, sorry. There are at least 10 that are underpriced, no matter what. There is a complete inefficiency there where a lot of people they go in and list it at whatever the game recommends.
Right.
So there's a default.
Right.
Purple missions actually are really, really easy to find this for.
The default is the vendor price, right?
It's not. It's actually usually higher than the vendor price.
It is, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be vastly off from what it's actually worth.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, yeah, naturally.
So you do a lot of what's referred to as flipping. You buy something low, just buy it all up, and then relist it at a high price.
Yep, absolutely. This week my story is doing that. I did it with Life Day gear. The Life Day...
Oh.
As Life Day ended, there's still a lot of people with it up on the GTN for sale. Most of it was 250, 300,000, 400,000. I even bought a couple at 500,000. I bought 6 or 7 sets off the GTN the last day of the event. I've already sold 3 of them. I've averaged 3 million a set. So I bought them 3 to 500,000, and I've sold them for 3 million within a week. I put the other 3 in the bank.
Wow. We'll
pull those out later, hoping that they never come back. But you never know.
Right.
You never know. They did say they won't, but they said that about other things too.
Well, they said that about it last time too, and it came back. So, but they said this time it won't. So I'm betting on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a set in the bank that I'm going to hold on to for 2 years.
I've lost those bets before, and sometimes you take a loss, you move on. It isn't very often that I take a loss on it. But I would tell you that I do a lot of flipping on a daily basis of everything, of materials.
Mm-hmm.
There are some materials out there for the Harbinger that I literally make a market in. I have a set price, and I control the price on that material. If you try to list it less, I will buy it all. I keep an inventory of thousands of them at any given time, and then turn around and always sell them at the same price over time. Events have a big impact on that. The Agree event has a major impact on scavenging and bioanalysis.
Right. Just huge impact there. As Turg put it when we were talking, it's great for just the free mats.
I did nothing but sit by the giant robot nodes for that heroic and just literally sit there for hours scavenging as groups just killed elite after elite after elite and just pick up mats for 4 and 5 hours at a time. Selling them all, they're all at least $1,000 a piece, $1,000 to $1,200 a piece, and that was with the depressed prices of the event going on.
Right.
And I was picking up $500 and $600 an hour. So you start thinking that math, it adds up really quick.
Yeah.
So knowing what stuff is worth is important. Of looking at those purple missions and knowing you have to remember that those missions cost money to run as well. Yeah. So you have to take what you're buying for it on the GTN, adding that mission cost to it, and knowing how many mats you get out of it and what those mats are worth.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of times that just turning around and selling the raw materials is better than crafting, and there are other things that are better for using in crafting and then selling the product. And those are where it's hard to toe the line exactly of telling you which one to do where, because I could sit and give you every idea of every single material that's good for, but the problem is when everybody copies it,
right,
it creates a supply issue, and the demand, it outstrips the demand, and then the price falls and it no longer works. So it's a little bit of self-discovery. You have to go out there and kind of learn about it, and I'd recommend doing that small amounts at a time, of looking at just one area and understanding how that area works. Maybe it's just, I started and literally, like I said, just starting with archaeology, just all the different artifacts and crystals as you leveled, knowing what that market's like, and then slowly adding piece by piece as you understand more and more of how different players are using the GTN.
Right. Are you using any weekly strats, like selling on weekends or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would tell you that I've noticed that prices drop on the weekend, so I'm typically a buyer on Saturday night, Sunday, buying up as much stuff as I can. The 24 hours following server reset, I find, are the best times to sell. It's people are, once all the lockouts refresh, so everybody's jumping into raids. They need all the bioanalysis, they need all their stems, they need all the adrenals, they need all the med packs, they need all the mats.
Right.
As
They're
well
getting
as
gear.
They're getting gear, so they need MK9 augment kits, they need augments, they need all of that as well.
Right.
So I find that's what best. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is the best day to sell. Saturday, Sunday, I try not to sell anything on the weekend. I just try to buy as much as I can and survive and not lose money.
Very nice.
I know we brought up last week about about using cartel coins to buy products and speculate on it that way.
From Kay's tip, yeah.
Yeah, I would tell you, I've never bought a single thing with my cartel coins. I've used them for a random unlock that you can't buy off the GTN here and there.
Right.
I used them for character transfers, but otherwise they just sit there and keep adding up, which is popular.
I certainly believe in that particular strategy. Yes.
I don't know what I'm ever going to do with them, but
Me either.
but I do. As I said, though, it is real that, as Kay kind of said, for those 2 weeks after they come out, the prices drop on them because there is a huge supply of them.
Yep.
And instead of just waiting the 2 weeks to sell them and use them, I'm actually buying them during that 2 weeks. That's when I buy them because the prices are at the lowest.
Right.
So that 2 weeks is my favorite time because I wait for the prices to drop after 4 or 5, 6 days. I buy them all up, throw them in a bank, and I start selling them 3, 4 weeks later, and then hold on to them.
Yep.
So it's the same method. It's just using a different way to make the purchase. You have to obviously have a bank of credits in order to do it, because if you don't, you can do the same thing with the cartel coins to get a jump start, to get the credits. Then you can start really doing it more and more.
But you need money to make money, essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's been popular opinion for decades.
Indeed.
But I mean, how hard is it to grab a couple million in this game to get started?
It's not.
Quite easy.
It's not.
5 minutes? What can you cover in 5 minutes? We can go a bit longer than that, but just
that's fine.
Overall. Okay.
The other thing I would talk about is, I think a lot of the other big thing to hit is crafting the augment kits.
Okay.
I would tell you that's probably the single largest profit center that I have, bar none, is selling just the MK9 augment kits.
Right.
This is one of those huge inefficiencies in the market. And I know I shared with Tio a while back, and I found the trick is to use a cybertech to craft level 52 droid parts.
The green ones, yep.
The green droid parts. Effectively, in order to make 5 kits. You need 50 MK9 pieces, so you have to craft 50 droid parts and re-engineer them.
Yep.
So effectively, to graft those 50, you need 50 Mithra, 75 Turidim, and 100 Tricopper Flux.
That's not a lot.
No. So I know you do bioanalysis, right, Chill? Or biochem. And you get a lot of them off that.
Yeah. My main is biochem.
So the cheapest way to get it off of biochem would be 100 biological compounding, 200 artificial microbe, 75 metabolic enhancements, and 125 ribocores. So if you add up the differences between those two, and let's just say you were buying those on the GTN, which is the most expensive way to get those materials, the cost for the Cybertech would be $192,000 to buy 5 to be able to afford to build 5 kits, whereas the bioanalysis would cost $570,000 to do 5. You're only going to sell them for about $70,000. You get about 65 after the 6% GTN surcharge. So you're basically spending $100,000 to make $65,000 in bioanalysis. Now that obviously cost goes down if you run your missions, or if you just find the mats in the open world. Your prices go way down, of course, because you're not buying the mats; they're coming to you for free.
Right.
But the crazy thing about it is because the Cybertech is so absolutely cheap, but not that many people use it, the price of the bioanalysis mats, you can actually make more profit by just selling the mats than you ever would by building something, reverse engineering it, and selling the MK9 kits.
Interesting.
You are making a difference of, as I look at my spreadsheet, if you just sold the mats that you ran missions to get, you'd make a gain of $270,000 profit. If you sold the MK9 kits, assuming you get a crit and you get 6 of them, I'll even give you 6 of them. You only make $130,000, so you're making $142,000 more than double just selling the mats and not wasting your time trying to craft it.
Wow.
How
nice.
does the making those droid parts compare to making wrists or belt for
It's
armor?
better.
mech?
It's 222 basically in mats.
Cheaper, and it only takes
is it
5 minutes.
2.4? Is it 2.4 for the wrist?
222.
Well,
2
for the
compound,
wrist,
2 metal, and 2 flux.
yep. For the
per
wrist and
part.
belt, it's 242.
242. Okay.
Yep. So it's cheaper doing the droid parts.
Yeah.
If I were able to go out during the event and get all of my mats for free, which I did, I got enough to make like 700 or 800 of these things just off of the free event. And I crit 1 out of every 5 at a 20% rate. My average profit each time is $376,000 on those 5 augment kits.
Right.
And if I make
bad.
$376,000 a pop for 5, and I got enough to easily do 500, that's another 37 mil right there in the bank. So,
Do you get the white crafting mats from the vendor, or are you using the missions to obtain them? The tricopper
Missions.
flux in this case. Yeah.
missions. So the average cost per mission is 125 on average. That's about, and it's probably, you could probably even push that below 100 if you're really luck on your crit chance. At the vendor, it's 600 a piece. So you get 5 for the price of 1.
Says it all. Yep.
Yeah, I always do missions on that too.
Yeah.
Seems like you get 40 or 50 all the time when you run them.
Yep.
Absolutely. So MK9 kits, use your Cybertech. Try to get, if you have nothing but a Cybertech and you go out and buy the mats on the GTN and you craft, and then you turn around and sell the MK9 parts, just 50 parts, you're looking at $136,000 in profit every time. To buy the parts off the GTN, run 50 droid parts, reverse engineering, and sell the MK9 kits.
Not bad.
Beautiful.
And that can be done
Alright.
by anybody with a cyber-tech.
All right,
Right.
Bill, are you ready to wrap up?
Yep, that's I've got tons of stuff. We could be here all night, but maybe another show.
That'd be
That's
great.
a great idea. Yes.
All right. Excellent. And Teo, you have one more issue that you'd like to go over.
Just wanted to bring up listener Gas Guy sent us in a list of topic suggestions for future shows. He asked whether there was a topic suggestion forum or place to do that on our forums, and there wasn't, so I created one.
Mhm.
But yeah, so if you have any ideas of stuff you'd like us to talk about, such as bringing on a specialist like Bill to talk about how to make credits, please create a thread in that forum, in our official forum, in our OotiniCast.com forums. And so thank you very much to Gaz Guy for that. He has provided us content for quite a while, actually. And one of the other things he sent in was an amazing spreadsheet that contains all the codex entries that he's put together from various different sources. I will include it somewhere where people can download it. It's just an Excel spreadsheet. Will work in LibreOffice if you have that, if you don't want to pay for it. And it's just amazing. It's extremely long, has all the codex entries if you're a completionist and you want to know where they are and track whether you've got them or not. So yeah, thank you, Gaz Guy, and we'll be hearing more of his topic suggestions in future shows.
Can I also mention,
Mhm.
just if people have trouble remembering, you don't have to type the whole long command for our crew calculator. You can actually just do OotiniCast.com/crew. It'll auto-populate the dash and yada 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 everything else. So you can just do /crew and you can get the crew calculator that way.
Yes, I did add in that link.
All right, that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our
Ootini Rage!
Guild on the Empire side, do a /c join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then ask for the quiz that lets us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show, including tips of the week, to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. We're on @OotiniCast. I Twitter under my own name, @Brandon L. Starr, and Teo uses his name, @Jason Etheridge. Bill, did you want to give out a Twitter handle?
I use my own name @BillLentz.
Excellent. And Red Twitter's under @R3DN4, or you can watch him on twitch.tv/R3DN4. Check out our website, OotiniCast.com, which has links to our presence on Google Plus and Facebook. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. We're also on Stitcher and Radio 4 Gamers. Our theme song is from Mevio's Music Alley. Check it out at music.mevio.com. That's MEVIO. And thank you to the chat room. And thank you, Bill and Red.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
having me
very
on.
much.
And we'll see you next week.
All right, gentlemen, that includes you, Bill. Stop your recording now.
Yay. And don't worry,
Stop
Bill.
button. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Even though we
for
said
listening.
thank you
Yeah.
at the same time,
That was
Teo
awesome.
can edit those apart.
Yeah, I'll space it out. We'll see you next week.